Ethiopia is an agrarian economy, and we depend more on agriculture. And it just keeps more than 70% of our labor force, and all our GDP, more than 80% comes from agriculture. So it means everything for us. And any kind of policy or practice shift we make around agriculture, really it matters in the lives of millions of Ethiopians. So that's why Synergos is really engaging, and that's why this the shifting food system is really the relevant project that we are embarking on. So here, like I will really share this. This is our global vision, and this global vision is really more, as you see, it is related to regenerative agriculture for just and resilient global food system. And we say, this vision currently is also shared by the government of Ethiopia. For example, the Ministry of Irrigation and Livestock. And this vision is more articulated with the support of Synergos when we were engaged in changing the policy area of the Ministry of Irrigation. And we embarked on this project for the last 6-7 months with the financing from the Africa Development Bank. And we came out with this vision, making this vision also a vision of the Ethiopian government. So last week, notice really taken, accepted, and we are moving forward. And what I want to say is this vision is becoming more global vision. So as to the goal, it's more about again, it is also the global goal we have related to shifting food system. It's just more for accelerated transition to this vision. That means the means to translate our vision into action through with the purpose of improving nutrition and of course livelihood for millions of smallholders. So this is our goal and a global goal. And when we come to strategies, we have two tracks here, and related to strategies. One is our program, related to our program on the ground here in Ethiopia, how we translate the vision into action, into practice. That means by having, communities, by having youth, by having farmers, by having government, by having all stakeholders, how we translate the shifting food system into action, where we use our demonstration sites, what sometimes you call them our center of excellence, where we demonstrate that really this is the global issue translated into the local practices. The second one is maybe is done by, I think, by Melissa and her team. It's more on related to advocacy for policy and practice change in the global north. It is just creating the shifting food system community for advocacy, to be the voice of this area. It could be in the forms of research. It could be in the forms of public dialogue, or in terms of there are so many places, so many issues that this can happen. As recently or before, there were farm subsidy issues and other issues also in the north. So that's how we approach it as a strategy. Locally, as a country program, and as a national program, as the global program. So now, I'm focusing more on the national program. When we come to this in the national program on the track one, our area is more to improving lives and the livelihoods of smallholder farmers and consumers. Remember, that's what we put in our strategy up. So we get it down on the grassroots level, and the goal is also related to creating growth in employment and creating opportunities for landless youth, to improve household income and smallholder farmers. Here, the Synergos approach is initially really, to analyze the system itself. When we see the system, when we analyze the system, we see that there is really a gap. That gap is what we call them a missing middle. The missing middle in this area is the youth. The youth is not as such taken as an actor or as a change agent in the system, which means that farmers produce, the middlemen buy, and they sell, and the others, then process it, and it becomes food. This is how the value chain looks like. But now we say, what about the youth? If we can bring the youth in this value chain, it means we can create a sort of a critical mass here so that we can empower the youth, and the farmers will also benefit from the youth. For example, from our demonstration sites, the youth can, bring technology like improved seeds and so many knowledge to agricultural sector, which will benefit smallholder farmers. That's what our demonstration sites are do. This is the main principle, the main idea that is really guiding, the project. So, and then we say that, okay, which agriculture? Is it livestock, or is it, grain, or is it really like horticulture? Which will bring, quick result, and also environmentally, friendly. Then we say horticulture commercialization cluster. By the way, thanks to the support of the Gates Foundation for the last 10 years, particularly helping Synergos in the area of innovation. The term commercialization cluster itself is really a Synergos crafted term, which we really came out, and now it's becoming a national strategy for the Ethiopian agriculture. That is, which we have done throughout the last 10 years, in these areas, and we are adapting that into horticulture this time. So we see that horticulture brings quick money, fast money, and engage thousands of youth, providing job opportunities. So this is what is here. And of course, we focus more on irrigation. Irrigation is really the best way of, because like in Ethiopia, we have only one term rain, that is June, July, and August. After that, there is no any rain, and then we said, why not we use irrigation, so that irrigation can be a means for change. So that's why we say irrigation-based horticulture commercialization cluster. So this is as I said, commercialization. With the specific numbers and the household income and how many farmers, like with the first project, thanks to Helmsley Foundation, we were to support like 30,000 farmers and about 450 youth, so that the youth can produce, the youth can bring technology, the youth can provide services for the farmers, and at the meantime they get income so that they can transform their own lives. That is the purpose of it, and I hope Dereja will talk much more about that. So in general, what that we did as Synergos, most of our investment is related to mindset change, more training the youth, more creating awareness, more helping them with, different leadership training, bookkeeping, training, tractor maintenance trainings, so many trainings that will benefit them for this project as well as for the future. So that's where our main investment, was when in this kind of project. Then once you put them there, once you make them responsible, once you make them committed to change their lives, then half of the problem will be solved. This is why what we say that, like horticulture, we organize them, we create, like co-ops, we help them how to keep the books, we help them, to have even, trust and hope, in the work they do. So these are some of the elements, we are doing. And again, finally, we have to make them a sort of a legal entity. That means they have to be legally registered. They have to be a business entity. That to do that, they have to be organized as co-ops. Now they are members of the cooperatives. So now they work. They have the legal entities, a legal thing to work with other businesses, to go into contract with other organizations, to sell, to buy, legally, with it, and also to get loan from banks. They have already started that. Amazingly, in the last like 3 years, there is a lot of transformation in their thinking as well as in their savings. So I tried to say earlier, this is the nexus of this project, is to connect the youth with the farmers. 450 youth with 3,000 farmers. They produce, they innovate, they bring, like, let us say it could be an avocado seedling. They just start the seedling, they water it, then at certain stage they sell it to the farmers with profit. The farmers are happy because they get that seedling close by their house. There is no transportation cost. So many risks are already averted. And the youth are already trained by the agricultural universities to look after these seeds on the ground. They know when to give fertilizer, they know when to give pesticide, they know when to do weeding, they know when, they have all this skill now, which they can provide for the farmers. All these skills were initially provided by the government, which you call them extension agents. Now the use is replacing those extension agents for these 30,000 farmers. So as I said, they get their income from providing services for the 30,000 farmers. So this is how things are really linked in this project. So just these are the examples that Daraja and his colleagues are doing. You see the tomato thing. You have the other cabbage and avocados, and they sometimes they contract land. Sometimes they do it in their demonstration sites and they sell it. No, they have a lot of customers now. The farmers are their customers, and the government itself become a customer. They buy thousands and 10,000s of seedling, and they take it and distribute it to other farmers in other areas. So there is no problem of market now, as we have seen for the last 3 years. Maybe the only challenge, maybe Daraja will talk to that, is related to maybe land, and some kinds of peace and other related matter. Otherwise, they are doing really an excellent job. So these are what we have achieved. The farmers we improved services, established three centers now we have, which is a good example to see what shifting food system looks like on the ground. We have these places now, as you see, like where these young members sitting. You have already the infrastructure. We have offices, we have stores, we have tractors, we have so many things on the field. So it will be an excellent example, when one comes and see what it really looks like on the ground. So these are some of the things that I would really encourage really people interested to do research or to understand more what shifting food system looks like on the ground. Our demonstration sites are really a good learning ground for that. So in here, again, I'll leave that to the Regia, how many women who are men, were engaged, first. And, really what I can say on this is it's a process, amazingly. I involved in more of the training part, particularly in area of commitment, in area of leadership, in area of motivating them, in area of understanding that they can, if they work hard, they can change their life. I mean, in these areas, maybe, the easiest thing is just to take a Kalashnikov and go to the forest and fight. And, this or, and we're telling them that there is really life beyond that. I mean, if they worked hard, if they come together, if they have the discipline, there is a way to come out of, joblessness or poverty among the youth. So I think that worked. I don't mean that 100% right, but when we first recruited them, they were about like 200 and 300. Finally remained with 150. That's fine. That's okay. And as a majority are women, we are more happy there. So this is how things are really progressed. And